22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
Hello, everybody. What's happening? Happy New Year, man. Hey, listen. It's great to be back for the first show of the new year. And I'm not gonna waste time. I want to get down to the nitty-gritty and bring my brother on. Let me add him to the screen. Welcome, brother. How are you?
Oh, man. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man. Love the shirt.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure you get one.
Appreciate it. Yes, please.
I'm gonna make sure is F coronavirus focus on health and wellness. You know, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people to, especially Black communities, that we suffer from hypertension, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, eating bad food, not exercising, right? So we're trying to bring that awareness, so we could be Blacktastic, you know, and yeah. So yeah, you'll learn more about it, man. We're about to do a whole launch with a lot of stuff. But
do you have Blacktastic shirts?
Yes, I'm gonna get you some of those,
please.
I got, it says, I'll send you the pictures. You can tell me which ones you want.
Okay.
Right. And we got another one called Protect Your Peace. And so we got a few, brother. So I'll definitely get them. To you. And thank you. And thank you for wanting to rock them, brother. Thank you for rocking, man.
Of course.
I'm waiting for AJ to come in, but we're going to, you know,
see that's number one, man. Okay. Black people gotta be on time.
Wait,
we gotta stop. Listen, CB time is over, man. 2021 CB time is over. Let's be on time. Let's be early, because I don't want to hear nothing, man. Don't tell me nothing if you're not on time to a meeting, especially an interview, especially a live interview. If you late to a live interview, you lose all credibility. If I was on CNN, they wouldn't be late, right? I mean, even though they cut me off once, but generally they on time. So AJ, that's it, man. 2021, no more CB time, man.
Listen, AJ went to get the papers, man. He went to get the papers so we can educate the people, brother. You know, we can get your word out there, man. I think you is Jamaal on the paper?
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, so we need to get the papers, man, so we can hit the communities of Westchester and Northern Bronx, He's coming in twice. What is he doing? I don't know which one.
AJ, you might
signing
wanna...
off with
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to bring him in on that. All right.
That's better. That's better.
First of all, brother, I want to. First of all, I want to thank you, brother.
Can I talk? Can I say something first off? So I've been distributing papers all day. It got pushed back an hour. I was sitting here trying to connect, having Wi-Fi problems. So anyway, I'm here. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I knew Damon was holding it down, and Damon just sent me the link like 10 minutes ago too. So that because I've been saying, yo, where the link? So anyway, but I really wanted to do this for the last couple of weeks because I saw you on MSNBC.
Yes.
And I saw you holding it down. And I thought it would be really important for your base, your voters to hear, the ones that don't watch MSNBC, because you had said some real powerful stuff. And I think, the base needs to hear that. Your voters need to hear that. And that's why I've been pushing you. I've been texting you the whole time, trying to get you on for the last couple of weeks. So welcome to the show. Greatly appreciate you. And I seen you at my church Sunday, Greater Centennial, too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. Good to see you. Good to see y'all.
Good to be seen, brother. So I just want to kick it off. So you've had an incredible first week. You got up in there. We had an insurrection. We had all this stuff going on. We had an impeachment. We've seen it all on TV. I just want the people to hear from you from the inside. Tell us, just spell out your whole first week for us. Tell us how that was.
Yeah, man. So Sunday was the swearing in. So that was it was eventful, but uneventful compared to what else happened, throughout the week. But Sunday was the swearing in. Sunday we voted for the Speaker Pelosi, because I was not going to vote for Speaker McCarthy. So that was Sunday. And then Monday, Tuesday was pretty quiet. We had a few procedural votes, Republicans challenging the rules and challenging different procedures. So pretty quiet. Now, we were advised on Tuesday to get to our offices early on Wednesday and to stay in our offices throughout the day, because we knew there was going to be a pro-Trump rally, and we know that pro-Trump rallies tend to be a little violent, a little rough. So we didn't know what was going to happen with that. So we were advised to get there early and stay in the offices. So that's where I was. I was in my office, which is not in the Capitol. It's near the Capitol. Many of my colleagues, though, were actually in the Capitol when this happened. So, I'm in my office. I'm watching the certification of the Electoral College votes. I'm watching it take place on C-SPAN. And then, I must have turned my head. I turned back, and I see that Nancy Pelosi is being ushered away from her seat on the House floor, and someone else is in that seat. And then I hear coming through the TV, yelling in the halls. So I turn to CNN, man, and I see an attack on the Capitol. I see an act of war being waged on the Capitol, an attack on the Capitol. White nationalist insurrectionists attacking our government, attacking our democracy. So I'm watching this like everybody else, in awe and shock, what the heck is going on? But the interesting thing is, my shock didn't come from the actual attack, because when you're Black in America, you're accustomed to not just violence, but white nationalist violence. It's as American as apple pie. It's in our DNA. And whenever there's social progress, there's white backlash. That's American history. So I immediately thought of the War of 1812 and all of the other times that attacks have happened. But my shock, my real shock, came from the fact that law enforcement did not offer the level of strength, fortification, and resistance that is necessary in protecting the Capitol in general. Exactly. But then I immediately thought about Black Lives Matter protests throughout the summer, and how not just Capitol Police, but police across the country were out there in the hundreds, if not thousands, in full military gear, using horseback, squad cars, rubber bullets, tear gas, and any means necessary to control peaceful protesters. But we were not as prepared or as vigilant when it came to a white nationalist attack on the Capitol. So that was my shock, more so than the actual attack happening, than our lack of preparedness and preparation for it.
It definitely exposed for all those that don't understand when we say Black Lives Matter and all the people that hit the streets protesting for the black and brown lives being killed at the hand of law enforcement, and not understanding there's a double standard. This definitely exposed it. You had peaceful protesters who were met with armed force, and you had armed insurrectionists who did nothing less than invade the Capitol and commit domestic terrorist acts. And they were handled with kid gloves, and they were taking selfies with them, and they were showing pictures of them the day before. Some of your colleagues giving them tours on where to go the day before. It definitely exposed the double standard, if nothing else.
It was an act of war. And I continue to use that language because I want us to be very clear with what happened. Our own president incited our citizens to commit an act of war against our government. That's what happened.
Right.
And we were not physically prepared for it, and we did not physically respond in the way that we should have responded. So that night, I came together with my team to just unpack and talk about what the heck was going on, to discuss how we might respond as an office and what we might do. The following day, we followed up with a conversation around how we might respond and what we might do. And within 48 hours, we had a draft of our first bill that we were going to introduce, which is the Coup Act. And Coup stands for Congressional Oversight of Unjust Policing Act. Because we knew just instinctively and based on common sense that we should have been more prepared. And the fact that we weren't more prepared and why needs to be investigated. And very specifically, we need to investigate any relationship between white nationalist individuals and groups and law enforcement. And not just when it comes to Capitol Police, but when it comes to the FBI, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, and others.
Right. Go ahead, Damon.
When we're talking about white supremacy, especially in law enforcement, I've been in law enforcement for 30 years, and even brothers before me have discussed the issue of racism within law enforcement. The big question is, and we've always said to elected officials that there was never any difference between the NRA, police unions, and local police departments, right? They're all different sides of the coin, right? So how does the government expect to, with what happened on Capitol Hill, how are they going to expect real cooperation from local police departments, especially local police departments that have supported Trump? It's no secret, the Federation of Police, loudmouth Pat Lynch, right? All those, and especially down south, because the Federation of Police, they got a stranglehold on they are in, like in New York, they're a fraternity, but a lot of the police departments down south, they are the collective bargaining unit. They are the union, and how does that work, right? How is that going to be when that this chief, that the FOP that really has a stronghold on the police department, how is going to be transparency, in investigations?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. A couple things. Number one, Trump is out and we have Biden in. So that's, I felt like 1,000 pounds lifted off my shoulder on Inauguration Day. And that's not to say Biden is perfect, but Trump is 1,000 times worse. Secondly, This is not a situation where police departments are investigating themselves. This is calling for a congressional commission to investigate police departments. So now we've taken it outside the purview of the police departments, right? Third, what we've seen since we've introduced the bill, and this is not just because of the bill, it's because of other things that I'll get to in a moment, but what we've seen is these investigations have already begun. And the data that was already presented publicly is being represented to everyone. For example, the FBI had already documented infiltration of law enforcement across the country by white nationalists. That was already documented, recently redacted, and there were congressional hearings on this issue about a year ago. So that's one. Two, it's already been documented that 1 in 5 members of the military have ties to white nationalist and white supremacist organizations. Number 3, we've seen the disparities. Number 4, and this is what I mentioned previously, we're at a new baseline now where what we've been trying to tell white people for years, they actually experienced it for the first time in their lives.
Right. Absolutely.
Like the white terror and the violence that we have to live every day in existential fear of, we all experienced it on Wednesday, from Nancy Pelosi to Majority Leader Hoyer and many others. So now, in every caucus meeting that I've been to since this event, I have colleagues, my white colleagues from all parts of the country talking about we got to deal with the issue of white supremacy, we got to deal with the issue of white nationalism, it's in law enforcement, et cetera, et cetera. And us approving the first African-American Secretary of Defense just today is a huge step in the right direction. And as my colleagues made their arguments to us to support this brother, they mentioned white supremacy in the military numerous times. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now the emperor has no clothes.
Right.
Cat's out of the bag. Everyone see it. And to ignore it is to condone it. So there's been a psychological shift and a political shift, because even there are colleagues of mine who, even without our bill becoming law, have already congregated as committee chairs to use their oversight authority to study Capitol Police.
Right.
So a lot of movement has already happened, which is amazing. But as we know, we got to keep the pressure on. And we have to take advantage of this unique moment in American history. We have to realize we are living through a time in American history that will be written about and read about hundreds of years from now.
Absolutely.
We're in that moment right now. The same way we read about the Civil Rights Movement, the Civil War, people will read about this moment. So we have an opportunity to remake America and remake the world. And I'm just blessed to be in Congress and to work in collaboration with brothers like you to do that work.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Question. Now, how does the attitude in white supremacy being talked about in Congress, in the halls of Congress, which is a beautiful thing, right? How does that trickle down to the states? How does that trickle down to local and state politicians recognizing publicly that white supremacy exists in cities, towns, villages, counties, and states?
It's another great question. I think it starts with people like myself and other members of the squad, if you will, to continue to use every platform possible to speak truth to power on this issue. It's what I do. You all know I do this. And my colleagues in the squad, they do the same thing. So we're not just doing it on Black Westchester. We're doing it on News 12. We're not just doing it on News 12. We're doing it on New York 1. Not just doing it on New York 1, Local 5, NBC, CBS, etc. So continue to speak truth to power, to continue to use social media. And what I'm finding is members of the state and city delegation are beginning to lean in to this issue and use this language in many of my conversations with them as well. And that's just me with New York State officials. But this has to happen across the country. And oftentimes states and counties and cities, they follow what happens on a federal level. I mean, look at Trump, right? Despite his psychosis, we followed this person, we meaning the American people.
Right.
He got the second most votes in American history behind Joe Biden.
Right.
His vote share grew in New York City from 2016 to 2020, a Democratic city, even in communities of color. That's insane to me, right? So now we have a president who, in his inaugural address, spoke about racial justice and racial equity that probably has never happened before at any inauguration, because he's taken the language of organizers who helped him to get into Congress.
Right.
And the first day of executive orders were focused on issues of racial justice and racial equity. So again, we're at a place where it's on us to remake the world in the way that we know it needs to be remade. It's on us to do that. The last thing I'll say is this. The idea of white supremacy is a lie and a myth, meaning white people are not superior to anybody else because of their race. It's the belief in this myth that led to the insurrection and leads to consistent racism permeating all of America's institutions. But the Congress, as well as the Constitution, one as an institution, Congress, the other as a document, the Constitution, have upheld the idea of white superiority. And that's something that we need to continue to talk about, and we need to continue to pressure members of Congress on, and I will continue to pressure them on as well as a member of Congress.
Great. We appreciate your work, brother.
Absolutely.
You also on MSNBC, which is a breath of fresh air, and
but to see someone like me on there,
absolutely. Man, we had the conversation right offline. Yeah. I'm like, listen, brother, we got to protect you.
Yeah,
right? Because dealing in politics and dealing in media and seeing a strong black man, on national television talking about reparations, right, is very powerful right out the gate, right? Talking about reparations for black people, and I think, just what the people that are watching now, and the people that will watch, just recap what you said, because it was powerful what you were talking about.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what I said. Well, you did. I do. I do a lot of these interviews, but the when we look at American history, we look at the federal government literally giving things to white people, particularly white men. So Congress authorized the Homestead Act, which took hundreds of millions of acres of land from the indigenous people and gave it to white people, gave it to them to toil, to build, to live and build communities. The stuff that's celebrated in school, Westwood expansion, the gold rush, et cetera, et cetera. That was the process of taking indigenous land and giving it to white people. At the same time, we didn't give the formerly enslaved anything at all. We promised 40 acres and a mule. We were in the process of getting it. Lincoln gets assassinated. New president comes in. We don't get anything.
Exactly.
Homestead Act. Fast forward several decades, we have the Great Depression and World War II. We needed to rebuild the American economy. FDR implemented a New Deal. The New Deal invested $180 billion in white home and land ownership over a 30-year period. 98% of that money went to white families. These are homes and mortgages subsidized by the federal government. Black families were kept out of that. At the same time, Black families, as we tried to build our own economies, were victims of lack of jobs, were victims of globalization, jobs going overseas. We had to turn to some illegal means because it was all we had. And then you bring in the war on drugs and mass incarceration. Mm-hmm. This is American history. Let me just go back quickly before we were even a nation and we were colonies. The head right system. If you were a European male and came over here to work and exist as a colonist, you were given land to do that. That was taken from indigenous people.
Right. That's right.
So when we talk about reparations for Black people, for the African American community, we're talking about righting the wrongs of history.
That's right.
And just resetting to a new baseline where everyone gets an opportunity to not just survive, but thrive. You know, the New Deal didn't just create the white middle class and white wealth. It destroyed Black communities. It created communities of concentrated poverty. It created this highway system that led to environmental injustice. In these communities of concentrated poverty, we had underfunded schools. And we had the beginnings of the comorbidities that led to the global pandemic that's currently killing us.
Exactly.
So reparations is just repairing the harm. And it's not much different than what Germany did for the Jewish community there after the Holocaust.
Right.
What happened in Rwanda after the genocide. What happened in South Africa after apartheid. And what happened right here, not just for Jewish Americans, victims of the Holocaust, but also for Japanese Americans who were interned during World War II.
Right. Right.
Black people just been left out.
Exactly.
Don't leave us out no more. That's all we're saying.
Exactly.
You don't see a lot of Black elected officials speaking like you're speaking. A lot of them, and I'm not going to call some names, some locally, not next state away. There's a lot of symbolism without substance. There's a lot of just talk just to be talking, saying the right stuff. But as I wrote in the article I wrote about you, and it's in the paper, this issue that I just put out today, you came in there kicking the door, waving the 4-4. I know you like hip hop, so but you know what I'm saying.
Stay low and keep firing. Yes.
From the first time, even before you swore in. Well, two things. I saw you with the Working Families Party with the squad, and each member welcomed you in. I was like very impressed by that. And then I saw you at a press conference where you were talking that, and they were all behind you in support. And I thought that was very, very powerful, because sometimes when you do get a brother out there, he's on an island by himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, to have that support, and the reason I wanted to do this, we want to help you build that support locally, because you're going to need that local base. You know what I'm saying? Your voters to hear you speak that.
Yeah. No,
because they're not used to seeing people speak that at all.
I appreciate that, man. And we have to tell the truth, right? We have to tell the truth as Black people. We have to tell the truth about our communities. We have to hold ourselves accountable. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm a member of Congress, Congress has to tell the truth. Right. And we can't continue to celebrate a myth of American exceptionalism without also talking about the horrors of genocide and slavery, and the policy that continues to support white male superiority in particular, and Black inferiority specifically. Like it's a lie, and it's a lie that literally has been killing us, Black people, but all of us. When you have white people who are forced to identify more with their whiteness than their humanity, you got a problem. And what I want to share with not just, the Black community, but all communities, we are human first. And our racial and ethnic differences are unique and can be shared and help us to build a better world if we understand and celebrate the uniqueness and figure out how to work in collaboration. It's this competition and this idea that because someone is X, they are better than someone that's Y. That's the problem. We are all created equal.
Right.
All of us. Mm-hmm. So we should all be given the opportunity to not just survive but thrive. And unfortunately, the United States government has been one of the facilitators of continued oppression of Black and brown communities. So, I appreciate you, man, and I'll just reiterate what I just said. It's also about us being our best selves and holding ourselves accountable as well.
Absolutely.
That's something that I try to model as an educator. I try to model as a candidate, and I'm trying to model as a member of Congress. But we're also going to speak truth to power and fight like hell to make sure we bring resources into our communities that we need.
Absolutely. I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak on something else. I saw on MSNBC, I actually started one of the articles out about, started the article out. You said something along the line of capitalism is a new form of slavery. And I want you to expound on that a little bit for those who, you do, because at MSNBC, you get 5-10 minutes to talk. Even at Centennial, you may get 15 minutes to talk. You don't get a chance to explain some of this stuff.
Right. No, absolutely. So when people hear slavery, they immediately think Black people. But they often don't understand that the majority of Americans are economically enslaved right now as we speak, the majority. And what I mean by that is the majority of Americans exist within a system that doesn't give them the opportunity to earn a prevailing wage, to have exemplary health insurance, to live in dignified housing, and to build wealth. Our system is not designed for that. Our system is designed to concentrate wealth in Wall Street and concentrate wealth in the hands of a few at the top, which are mostly white men. So there's a racial component to it as well, because the majority at the top are white males, and it's an evolution of the wealth that was built from slavery that was then diversified into stocks, which now exists in big banks. So there's the racial component, but there's also the economic component, where we have 3 white men, I believe, that own more wealth than 50% of the country.
Right.
And the top 0.1% own more wealth than 90% of the country. That's economic enslavement. And while we celebrate capitalism as, people who do well in that system, people of color, they like the system. They want to keep it, right? They say, I got a lot of pushback that day from Black bankers that I know who chill, you don't want to say nothing about capitalism. I'm like, listen, it doesn't benefit the majority of us. So the system is broken and needs to be changed, right? I'm not saying, if someone has an idea for a business they want to start, that they don't get the opportunity to start that business. It's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying we have a system where the wealthy don't pay their fair share in taxes at all.
Absolutely.
They're able to hide tens of billions of dollars overseas in offshore accounts.
Right.
Jeff Bezos is the first 200 billionaire, and in 10 years, he's slated to be the first trillionaire, while the rest of us are struggling day by day.
Right.
We cannot have a democracy with that level of inequality. So that's what I mentioned, what I was talking about when I said capitalism is a new form of slavery.
Now, another thing you said that caused a little bit of a stir. Well, and I respect it because you, in your election, you went against the power structure, you went against the party, all the key members did not support you, and you won anyway. So you don't have to answer to anyone. But you made a comment that I think you said the Democratic Party needs a massive makeover. Something I agree with, but I want to give you a chance to explain that.
Well, I ran for office. I ran for my kids. I ran for my students. I ran for the families that I've served. You know, I ran for my mom and my sisters and the people I grew up with. You know, I ran for them because, you know, we have all struggled and continue to struggle within this country and within this political and economic system. And I just got to the point where I was tired of struggling and tired of people hurting and people dying, literally. So my run was about, you know, if I could, because we had a army with us, if we could pull this off, we could then fight for the things that the most vulnerable need the most. So it was all about them. It wasn't about the Democratic Party or the system or the machine. And I just think the Democratic Party needs to do a better job of connecting with the people in the community.
Right.
Like, we need to be rooted there, not in the corporate elite, not in Wall Street, not in politics for the sake of politics. If we're not serving the people, then we're not doing our jobs. And serving the people with a certain level of urgency. Like, this is urgent, what we're talking about. People need relief. Even before COVID, people needed relief now. Now with COVID, it's even more severe. So, you know, I'm a member of the Democratic Party, and, you know, I support my colleagues and I'll show them love all day. But I'm going to lift up my voice and tell the truth about us and push us to be better for the people that we serve. You know, it's a shame, you know, because I don't want to be a part of upholding a system that is harmful to Black people and harmful to vulnerable people. And the system is harmful, man. Like, it's just, there's no other way to say it. Like, our kids are hurting, and dying, period. So we got to do a lot more for them.
Now, you spoke, and another thing you just said that was very important is speaking with urgency. A lot of people, when they see someone like you speak, like, why do you sound so angry? Why are you making such a big deal? Like, why are you coming out the door like that? You didn't try to ease your way in, because, like you said, we're in a state of urgency. Like, this has been going on for so long. We don't have time to, you know, sweet talk our way in and soft pedal. Things have to change now.
Yeah. Do I sound angry though? I don't.
No, but, you know, not you. But anytime someone speaks up,
I just want to make sure I don't sound angry. I don't want to scare nobody.
Right, David gets it too. When you speak truth to facts, truth to power, you're the angry Black man. You know, some people will.
No. Yeah, I know, I'm just messing with you, man. But listen. So just this week, Tuesday night, I think, Tucker Carlson called me out on this show.
Really?
He heard what I said on MSNBC. He heard me say, we need a new baseline in America. We have to, whenever there's social progress, there's white backlash. And then he went on a rant about me painting all white people with the same brush. And if something happens to me, it's my own fault for saying that, because I'm not supposed to be speaking out against those people. This is what he said on his show, watched by millions. So to your point, yes, it's like, yo, like, I'm speaking the truth, but to him, because he's identified with his whiteness and white supremacy his whole life, and that's where his power comes from, he don't expect, you know, I'm supposed to be, it's like, nigga, keep your mouth shut. Like, what do you know, he wanted to call me uppity, and he wanted to tell me to stay in my place because I'm not supposed to speak like that. You know, what Tucker Carlson don't understand is, like, you know, all Black people want is peace and equality, man. We don't want nothing from nobody. We just want to chill. We want to work, come home, do our thing socially, take a vacation, and be treated with respect. That's it. We don't want to take nothing from nobody. Right. We just want to just do, right? So you're right, man, but it's crazy how that works.
I'm going to take, I know you got to go, brother. We're not going to keep you, but I'm just going to take two questions.
Yes.
Hold on, let me scroll up from the sister. She says from Solange. She says, Congressman Bowman, I know you understand that student loan forgiveness will allow more of us to buy a home, invest more money in the local economy.
Yes, agreed. And that's why, we worked with Senator Schumer on the Senate side, but also Ayanna Presley, and I believe it's Ilhan on the House side. We're looking to cancel all student loan debt, but specifically pushing Biden to cancel at least $50,000 in student loan debt. And Solange is exactly right. It's a situation of you put more money in people's pocket, they will spend it. And that's how the true economy works. The true economy works through cash flow, not through concentrating wealth in the hands of a few. So the true economy is about paying people more, making sure that housing is no more than 20% of a person's income. And then people will spend money and invest and do other things. Mm-hmm. But we have a system of economic exploitation and plantation capitalism.
Exactly.
Why it doesn't work for the majority of us.
Right. Last question from Dr. Bob. He said, here's a paragraph from CNN. Can you read and ask the congressman to respond? According to CNN, protesters again took to the streets of Portland, Oregon on Thursday, the first full day of Joe Biden's presidency, to let the Democratic establishment know that they are still fighting for racial justice. Someone told CNN we still wanted to symbolize that both parties are the oppressor, said 25-year-old protester.
So true, but there's change happening within the Democratic Party. Both parties historically have been the oppressor. Both parties supported the 1994 crime bill. Both parties supported the New Deal that kept Black people out. Both parties supported the Homestead Act, right? So this is historical. We know that. Mm-hmm. The Democratic Party is going through a transformation right now. And the Biden presidency is going to be indicative of how serious this transformation is. Because a lot of rhetoric is good. He's passing or pushing Congress to pass policy in alignment with racial justice etiquette or a mission of racial equity. We'll see what the next 4 years looks like. But the protests peacefully should continue because that's how we apply pressure.
Exactly.
Elected officials move when there's pressure applied to them.
Absolutely.
Phone calls, emails, protesting outside the office, all of that, right? Especially if the elected official is ignoring the protesters. So absolutely they should continue. But we'll see what the next 4 years is going to be telling in terms of, how real we are when it comes to racial and economic justice.
I have one more question for you.
Okay.
I know that you're a hip hop head, and I know you can't get this kind of question from MSNBC, and this is Black Westchester.
Yes.
Top 5 MCs.
Rakim, KRS-One, Jay-Z, Nas, and Tupac.
Okay.
In no particular order.
I could rock with that.
And again, those 5 represent a certain generation, as you could tell.
Right.
I'm a man of a certain age.
Right.
The longevity of Jay-Z and Nas, I think, is incredible. But there's a bunch of honorable mentions. Biggie, Kendrick Lamar,
absolutely,
Eminem, a bunch of others that I'm forgetting right now. But yeah, those are my top 5.
Hey, brother,
what's up?
Did you know that brother AJ is hip hop royalty?
Did I know that? Remind me. I think I may have heard something.
Strong Island, JBC Force.
JBC Force.
JBC.
Yeah. I've heard of them. I'm about to look that up. Oh, that's a classic right there.
We just passed up. January 1st was our 33-year anniversary.
Wow.
That's 1988.
So wait a minute.
That's AJ Rock.
Yeah, that's classic right there. Yes.
That's AJ Rock from JVC.
Nice. so I was having this conversation yesterday. I want to run it by y'all before I go. I have a theory that there's incredible artistic talent and creative talent in the district.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Particularly in Mount Vernon, Yonkers, New Rochelle.
Absolutely.
And if we gave the people with this talent the resources and the opportunity to express that talent, we could develop our own economy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So if you think of hip hop, right, and how it started in the Bronx and went everywhere after that, the Bronx never really benefited economically from hip hop.
Exactly.
Right.
But if we could harness the talent in our district right now, not just through music, but dance, theater, other arenas, we can strategically build the economy and keep the wealth here in our district. Do you all agree with that?
I agree with you 100%. And if you're kicking that off, you have my support. Anything I can do to help make that happen.
So here's what we got to do, I think. I think we got to get in contact with local school districts, see what programs they have in their schools with regard to the arts, and give the artists there, which are the kids, hip hop and all this was started by kids. You was very young 30 years ago doing that. You were a kid, right? Let's figure out a way to give kids in our district the opportunity to express themselves artistically. Let's use it to generate revenue and develop an economy. And let's build our own economy. Because, yes, we want them to get good jobs in good companies and go to college. We want all that, too. But I believe we have Lin-Manuel Mireras, Nas's, all these people. We have them in our district. We just have to discover them.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that I can get you in tune with whenever you're ready, including Evelyn Collins. She's the head of the Denzel Washington Performing Arts School, which is the high school, one of the high schools in Mount Vernon. And we don't
want them to move to California and blow up. We don't want them to go to Manhattan and blow up. We want them to blow up right here. Because once we get one, it's over.
Right.
I was looking at, I don't know if you all saw I don't want to hijack your show, but I'm really excited.
No, man.
This is for you.
So there's a documentary on Netflix about Clive Davis.
Yes.
You really should take a look at it. I mean, his career, we all know about his career.
Right.
But Whitney Houston,
yes.
Her story is so tragic and heartbreaking. But Whitney Houston, her first 3 albums sold like 20 million each.
Right. Right.
You could build Mount Vernon with that. You could build one community with an album that sells 20 million. Right. If the resources are kept in the district, right? Michael Jackson, come on, man. Thriller sold 65 million, right? So even if you go the hip hop route, Jay-Z, whoever, if we keep the resources in the district, we could build something special. So please make those connections when you can. And then one other thing before I run, I saw in the comments some people, talking about, I criticize capitalism, and they immediately go to, well, socialism don't work and social whatever, right? And I just want to respond to that.
Please do.
So immediately the mind goes to socialism. So let me support the argument. Let's say socialism doesn't work, right? Is that the only option? Are those the only 2 options?
Exactly.
Is it that or that? No, we have to stop thinking about this binary option where it got to be one or the other. There's a lot of gray in between those 2 things.
Exactly.
But we could figure out a system that works for everyone, number one. Number 2, when you look at American history, we always had socialism for white people and socialism for rich people.
Right.
The Homestead Act, they gave land to white people.
Exactly.
That's socialism.
Exactly.
The New Deal gave low-income mortgages and home and land to white people. That's socialism.
Right.
So it's okay for white people and rich people historically, but now people of color want a system that's similar to that, and it's a problem.
One of our listeners wanted me to bring up. We have a former mayor Andre Wallace does something called Rapicon here in Mount Vernon once a year. And a lot of it's a big thing where all the DJs and stuff get together, and it's usually a great event. I'll let you know whenever the next one is. It's usually a great event. I think you would appreciate it as a hip hop head, though.
Yeah, man. We need to unlock the talent that's already here.
Yes,
and not just in the arts, but in other areas. And that's a mission of our office. That's a goal for our office. We don't only want JP Morgan Chase to come in and give us stuff. That's fine. But we got talent here. Let's unlock the talent, brother.
Any last words? Anything we didn't ask you that you want people to know? You want people to address? How can people reach your office if they have a question for you? Website, social media, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, so right now, just go to bowmanforcongress.com, and if you send us an email there, we'll be able to, we'll respond to it. My house office email, I'm still getting used to remembering it. It's jb@house.mail.gov. That's jb@house.mail.gov. And the only thing I want to say is, man, continue to organize, continue to push local and county and state elected officials to do more for your community. Exactly. If you don't have a museum, that's unacceptable. If you don't have libraries and bookstores, that's unacceptable. If your schools are underfunded, that's unacceptable. You don't have affordable housing, true affordable, dignified housing, that's unacceptable. If there's no jobs programs, it's unacceptable. So apply pressure on me and state and county and local, like, yo, what's going on? What's good? Exactly. Because again, when you go walk down Fifth Avenue from 96th Street to 59th Street,
right,
and look at the real estate there.
Exactly.
And that was just built because the government authorized it, because those people were special and our people weren't. Now we all got to be recognized as special.
Last thing, Damon did it to me, so I'm gonna do it to him. Me and Damon met in the 90s because he was starting to do the hip hop museum in Mount Vernon. That's how we met. And I introduced him.
Has it come yet?
No. One of our former mayors co-opted the project and tried to kidnap it and do a hip hop Hall of Fame, and it fell apart. But he tried to take the idea and run with it. But that's how me and Damon met. He was working on, he had the plans, he had the area, he had the architectural drafting done for the everything. And I introduced him to all the KRSs and all of them because I was on the label with him, B-Boy Records. So, introduced him to all the hip hop heads. That's how me and Damon met. So Damon got a little history too. Damon Damon's thorough too.
And they stole the whole. Yeah, it was.
Well, listen.
You black.
Listen. God willing, the three of us will be here together.
Yes, sir.
For several decades.
Yes.
Let's do the work now. There's no reason why we can't do it now. Hip hop as a culture has become an economy, as you all know.
Exactly.
Hundreds of billions of dollars from music, from lyrics to sound, to equipment, to clothing, to
even movies now. Yeah.
To whatever, right? So what if we harness that for Mount Vernon? That's and the rest of the district.
Right.
That's what's up.
Okay, brothers.
Thank you, brother.
We just want to say one more thing. This is an open forum for you. This is an open door for you. When you want to reach the district, you know how to hit us. You just hit us both. I'm glad to see you okay. I checked on you the day of it. Are you there? You good? And you let me know you were good. So I'm glad to see you okay. We support you. We got you. Utilize us to get your word out, to get the word out. And like I said, open door whenever. You just call us.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate y'all. And listen, man, if you ever see me bugging out, hold me accountable.
Like, we will.
Do it, man. Hold me accountable.
And we will. And it'll be out of love, man. It'll be
absolutely.
Out of love. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, brothers. I'll talk to you soon.
Now.
Peace. So
well,
yes. We took a small hiatus. This is like show 285, and out of 285 shows over the last going on 7 years, I missed maybe 10, and I was burnt out, and I needed a break. And I see Bill Maher on HBO takes from before Thanksgiving to after Martin Luther King, and I said, you know what? I'm doing the same thing this year. So we took a small hiatus. Shout out to Lorraine Lopez. I did give her the link at last minute as soon as I got it, because I got it late. And shout out to Dr. Bob, who's running around with me today, distributing the papers. The paper's out if you need it. Just hit us. And you know, some of y'all might have to come get it for your business or whatever, but just hit us. It's out. Working on a Black History Month issue now. So hit us about that. And yo, as we go on 7 years of the website and the radio show this year, and 4 years of the paper, we couldn't have done it without all of y'all. We appreciate y'all. We are back. Yo, it's about to go down.
Yeah. You know, it's great to be back. It's great to give the people the information, because that's what it's all about. You know, it's empowering people. You know, Black Westchester Magazine, man, People Before Politics show. It's about empowering. It's about empowering the people. I also want to say, you know, big shout out to Brooke Jones,
Yes,
for bringing public awareness to the issue of female workers in Westchester County not having adequate parental leave. I think in the time that we have women's rights, and in the time that we have a woman vice president, you know, for a Democratic county to not have adequate parental leave for women, you know, it's horrendous. You cannot tell me that you're progressive and you have a progressive agenda and you have a progressive government and you don't have adequate parental leave for women that work in the county. You know, you cannot tell me that you will want to make it negotiable with the unions. You can't do that, right? Because what about Westchester County Police? That's 78% white men, right? And then if you add the Black men on, they're close to 90% men. Now you think a union with 90% men is going to negotiate in a parental leave in their collective bargaining agreement? No, that won't happen, because that's not their interest, because there's not enough women in the department. And then what does it do for the Black and brown workers for the county? Because they're in majority just two departments. The majority are in corrections and in DSS. And you're talking, unfortunately, a lot of them are single parents. So you're talking about they have to use all their time? No, I mean, that should be unacceptable. When the private sector has better parental leave policies than our county government, then there's a problem.
absolutely.
Then there's a problem. So, you know, shout out to Brooke Jones.
Yes.
You know, for bringing that to the forefront. I was told by little birdies that they might be working on something.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And they should be working on something. We're going to continue to talk about it, because you can't talk about the year of the woman. You can't talk about the first female vice president. You can't talk about the advancement of women and women, especially correction officers for the county that go in there and sacrifice their life, can't have adequate parental leave. That is, we should be ashamed of ourselves, right? And they said, well, Damon, you've been there 30 years. Well, what happened 30 years ago? Just like everything with women's rights, it has to evolve. It has to evolve. and there's still not enough women to make a change. I think I'm not sure, but I think in our union, I think if we got one woman on the board, and
it's going to take women in leadership positions as well that got a seat at the table that can present this type of stuff. That's one of the things it's going to take. Just like we talk about, there's not enough African Americans, not enough brown and black people at the table, at the decision maker table, in leadership. The same thing goes for women. And until you have more women in leadership positions, you're not going to have that. You know what I'm saying? They got to be in the room where it happens. Quoting my man from Hamilton, they got to be in the room where it happens.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
And you're absolutely right. But see, how do we get in the room, right?
Right.
How do we get in the room when we're not appointed to be in the room?
Right.
Right. How do we get get there? Right. How do we get? And then when we're in the room, right, we're it's just symbolism and tokenism. Because even if we have an idea, it's shot down by somebody above us.
And we need, when there is one who is in the room, he needs to leave that door cracked and help others get in that room, not stand there and close that door and where he's in the room and he don't help nobody else get in the room. That's one of the things that we have a problem with in our communities. One gets there, they forget how they got there, and they don't help nobody else get there.
They want to be the only Negro in the room. They're happy to be the only Negro in the room, and they ain't got no power as the only Negro in the room. That's how it usually happens. But
and again, to our elected officials, we're saying this out of love. Word up, we got to do better, no doubt. And we're here, we're back, and we had a little hiatus. And we're going to be bringing it. A lot of stuff this year, we're bringing it. There's a lot that needs to be said. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And some elected officials that need to go. We're going to be very active this year.
Yeah, we have to, because, because we can't continue with the nonsense, right? We can't continue with the nonsense. So we've been on for an hour.
Okay, wait. Paying some bills, taking care of some self-promotion. And I saw somebody mention it, and I'm assuming they're talking about your shirt. I'm looking at your shirt. Talk about where people can get that, Where can the average person get a dynamic shirt like that, a fly little shirt like that?
Oh, well, this is one of the first. This is a test run of the health and wellness website and information that we give on Black Westchester, but also because I'm a holistic practitioner and a nutrition dietitian coach and a vegan vegetarian coach. I'm starting a website called Be Blacktastic, and I say we must be Blacktastic in everything that we do. And one thing we got to be Blacktastic is our health and wellness. This coronavirus has exposed what we knew for a while, but we have been afraid to talk about. Our bad eating habits as Black people, right? So it's not our DNA, right? It's what we eat every day. Is what's on our plates, and we need to start having real conversations, about that. And while we're talking about coronavirus, and we're talking about vaccines, and we're talking about we're talking about pre-existing conditions of Black people and why Black people are dying so much from coronavirus, is because we have been culturally conditioned into having one of the worst diets in the world. And we have to change that. And we have to be willing to talk about it and not be offended you know, that we've been bamboozled, you know. So we need health activists, right? We need people that are going to talk about health and going to talk about, you know, listen, man, a lot of us got nice cars. We got nice cars. We love our cars sometimes more than we love ourselves. Right? We take care of our car better than we take care of ourselves. A damn car that we buy that depreciates when it comes off the lot. The day you buy it, that car depreciates, right? But yourself, who you are, right? Your health and your wellness, right? And the way your body is made, it never depreciates, even though it gets older, right? You make sure that your car has oil changes. You make sure that your car brakes are changed, rotors are recut, right? You put the right mixture of oil that goes in the car, right? If that car takes 97, you don't put 84. So why would you put wrong foods in your body and you think that your body is going to react any better? When you put 84 in a car that takes 97, you're going to feel it when you get on the highway. And that's the same thing when you put bad foods in your body. You know, when you drink overly too much, when you smoke overly, like, you know, look, if that's what you do, that's what you do. But the truth is the truth. And then we wonder why we're dying so young. And we wonder why our young girls are having having their periods. So
right.
Because we're eating the wrong foods. And we wonder why our kids are crazy as hell out in the street, because we're eating the wrong foods.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we have to get back to that. And
this is going to be the beginning. This is some of the additions that are going to be taking place. Our health and wellness section. We're going to be thoroughly doing that. We're going to have shows on that. We're going to have a column. We have a column on the website. We're going to have a column in the newspaper. We're going to be dealing with health and wellness. We're going to be dealing with mental illness as well, something that is very big in our community, and coronavirus has just expounded on it. We're going to be expanding the topics of a bunch of stuff that we have not been able to cover before. That definitely is an urgency. There's that word again. There's an urgency. Our communities are in crisis. There is an urgency, and we have to address these situations.
So Lynn Holzberg says dietary problems are not race specific. Neither are certain dietary related diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, but certain demographics at higher rates than others. There are also genetic factors. I have to disagree. There's nothing genetic about having these diseases. It's what your food. Look, they tell you it's in your DNA. They say, oh, well, you know, you got it because your mother had it, and your grandmother had it, and your great, right? But y'all all eat the same foods. So it's no wonder you're going to get diabetes if you're eating the same food that your mother got diabetes. You have to change your diet. Black communities, they don't have fresh fruits and vegetables, right? They are food deserts. They have all the fast food restaurants in the Black community, and they have most of the unhealthy restaurants. It is what it is. So you can't say. I mean, there's reports. I don't even have to. I mean, there's reports that this is why Black people have more, and Black people die at a higher rate of diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, high cholesterol. And it's all about what we're eating.
But Black people in America, because Black people outside of America who don't eat these foods don't have some of these problems.
Exactly, because what they did and I'm going to close on this.
Right.
They did a study, and they took 6 African men from a part of Africa that didn't eat meat. Well, a lot of meat, because meat was a royalty, right? So they didn't have any ailments. They mostly ate fruits and vegetables, legumes, nuts, right? And then they took 6 Black American men who all had diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and they switched the diets. They switched the diets for a year. So the African men that had no ailments from eating their cultural food ate the American food, and the American Black men ate the African food. And after a year, it was reversed. The American men, their ailments went away. Not just it lowered your diabetes levels, it did, because it does. I'm living proof of that. But it went away. And the African men that was eating the American diet, they got all. So you can't tell me that changing your diet doesn't change your health.
That's going to be a whole. We're going to have more shows on specifically that. So that's stuff you have to look forward to in 2021. New year, new decade. We're coming back stronger than ever. This is another episode, a special edition of Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show with Damon K. Jones and AJ Woodson. Shout out again to Lorraine Lopez and Dr. Bob Baskerville. Yo, you could be doing anything else, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. Until next week, until the next show, peace.
Oh, wait. I forgot how to do this thing here, man. Oh, here we go.
22 million Black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.